this is the first exercise of the Lab 5 in Mech 140. I picked a red light for my subject. I've got my 5-volt pin and my ground pin respectively connected into the breadboard of the Arduino. I've got my digital pin 9 connected to the short leg of the LED and the resistor connected to the long leg of the LED and connected to the positive side. As you can see, the LED goes from 100% brightness to 75 to 50 to 25 back down to 0. And then this is the code. Alright, Mech 140, Lab 5, Question 5, and where we have the potentiometer and our motor. I've got a jumper wire connecting 5 volts to the potentiometer, and then I've got my positive wire on the motor connected to the other side of the potentiometer, and then obviously I've got the ground wire connected from the motor to the Arduino kit. As you can see, it's not moving right now because there's probably a high resistance in the potentiometer. When I alter the resistance, like so, the motor switches on. Alright, this is number 17, excuse me, of Lab 5. I've got my 5-volt and my ground on that respective side of the breadboard. This yellow wire connected to A0 on the analog in, the potentiometer connected to positive and negative on the other side of the breadboard, which in turn is directly connected to the motor. It's the positive side of the motor, and the negative side, which is connected to the transistor, which is connected to ground, and a digital pin 9. Alright, this is my code. Currently, I have the potentiometer set to 0. When I turn it a little bit, I don't know if you can hear it, but that's the faint noise of the motor. To me, that means it's running. And that is the values that the potentiometer is showing. And listen to the motor again. Alright, I'm going to turn the potentiometer off to 0, which also turns off the noise of the motor. Alright, this is Lab 5, the final exercise in which we use the potentiometer to regulate the speeds of the motor. Here I've got my standard 5-volt ground connected to that side of the breadboard, analog in A0 connected to the potentiometer, and the other side of the potentiometer connected to power and ground respectively. I have my push button, which is connected to digital pin 7, and then the other part of the switch button connected to power, and a resistor that helps limit the current, and then I have my motor connected to ground, and then the positive part of the motor connected to the digital pin 11 over here. Alright, and currently I have my potentiometer set to 255, which is less than 500, which means that when I push down the push button, the motor should not run. And then when I increase the potentiometer, to something over 500, the motor should run. Okay, so my motor is not running. I don't know if you saw it, but it did move a tad bit in the beginning. And one of the reasons I suspect it might not be running is because I might have accidentally burned it out, unfortunately. But I ordered more motors on the way, so we'll get that issue resolved and fixed, and hopefully I won't do it again.